Emily, I want to ask you really quickly, like, now that this is your second film, do you really feel like you've hit a stride?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think I was definitely slightly intimidated in the first one, in The Winter Soldier, and, you know, just kind of getting used to it. I think that lent itself well for the character. She was sort of more in like a rookie stage, and it's great to see her come back in a little bit more of like a mature light. She's, you know, confident and.
And she's still good with guns, girl.
Still good with guns. But yeah, she's a great character to play. I'm having so much fun with her, and you know, she gets to kick a little butt in this one, and you know, it's great fun.
I really want to know. I've never heard anybody speak to this, so excuse me if you've already spoken to it. Do you ever have an idea as to where your characters are going in the future? The Marvel Universe is so interconnected, and certainly there's a vision past what we're seeing on the screen at the time. Do you ever get clues as to play it this way, knowing that you're going to go here eventually at some point? Does that ever happen, or is it a secret from even you guys? Don't frown at me, Kevin Feige. I didn't ask him to tell me what he said.
In all seriousness, I would say it varies. I would say the characters don't know what's supposed to be happening to them, so I don't know how helpful it would be. And sometimes there's a long play that I think Paul knew for quite a while. Vision was coming down the pipeline and had to keep it a secret for quite a while. Robert's very good at keeping secrets, so we can tell him anything at all times.
Locked vault, that one.
It really does vary. There's some big picture things. I remember pitching sort of the big twist of Winter Soldier to Chris Evans when we were shooting the final scenes in New York on the first Avengers film. So they're long things like that, and then they're shorter. Can you come over right now? Moments.
So this question's for Mr. Russo. What about the world today demands a popularity resurgence on superheroes?
Demands a popularity resurgence? Look, you know, you can answer that question, I think, in a lot of different ways, but, you know, we live in a very complicated world, and it seems like it gets more and more complicated every day, and I think there's lots of signs of that we're all experiencing and going through and struggling with. You know, there's something very reassuring about having a fantasy film that can deal with a lot of these issues, but in a way that's one step removed. You know, it's hard to deal with reality sometimes when it's in your face. You need a little buffer from it. You need to place it within a context where your imagination can roam and your emotions can flow in a way that's maybe not as complicated or threatening as in your real life. So I do think, especially with these Captain America movies, because I think there's a political dimension that's like inherent with the character because of his origin, his name, etc. I don't know. I think maybe it provides us a space to play in and explore that's a little safer in some ways than reality.
It's an incredibly smart answer.
Yeah, it was.
Thank you, sir. That's an incredible compliment coming from this.
No, I just sound, it's being British, I just sound smart. I left school at 16, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm just saying, you presented it in a smart way.
It just sounded smart.
Yeah, it sounded smart.
Yeah, it sounds smart.
That's my Cleveland accent.
I called Robert relatively early saying, I think there's a chance we might get Spider-Man in this movie. And his reaction was actually one just like a fanboy, which was unbelievably excited for what that could mean for this movie. And then I would, you know, a few weeks after that said, hey, we've sort of culled it down to about 5 finalists. Could we bring them to Atlanta, and would you mind reading with all 5 of them? And he did, and then we culled it down a little bit more, and he did, and that was how Tom came to the top. Then Tom and one other person came back and read with, did more of a stunt test, in which Chris Evans was gracious enough to read opposite him. But it was fun seeing that Robert was invested, and to see Tom react to Robert, which is not dissimilar from the way Peter was reacting to Tony, was actually quite cool.
I will add this. I mean, obviously the character has a very special relationship with Robert's character in the movie, and most of his work, the vast majority of his work, is with Robert. I mean, it's just like Kevin said, Robert was incredibly generous in terms of going through the process.
Why didn't you know all these reviews were going to come out?
I mean, helping us all figure out who the right person was for the role. But not only that, once Tom got cast, to all of our delight, then working with Tom, a young performer, and sort of bringing him into this very complicated fold with all these very sophisticated performers and pedigreed performers. And I mean, I remember when he did the big bedroom scene with Tom, and I remember Joe and I sitting at the monitors and just reflecting on the idea that, wow, like the greatest gift that you can give an actor is to be in a scene with Robert Downey Jr. I mean, that it's
In a
like,
bedroom scene.
It's like,
I actually have a two-part question. First for Kevin and Anthony. When you make a movie like this and you have so many characters, what's the biggest struggle with putting each character in there for screen time and knowing the right amount? And then for the actors, what do you think about each of your characters is the characteristic that draws audiences into those roles?
Kevin?
Well, I think so much of the credit for your first question, or the success with balancing those characters, goes to Chris Marcus and Steve McFeely, who really know that you talk about Spidey. Screen time doesn't equal, it's quality, not quantity, right? If people have moments that land, if people have a laugh, if people have a cheer, that's sometimes all you need to say this character's been serviced. Let's move on to bigger story. And Joe and Anthony are always so adamant, rightfully so, that the overall story is being serviced as opposed to every single character in the film. I think that's how you take this many characters and balance a singular, relatively simple story and have them there, and each of their moments where they earn a laugh or earn a tear or earn a cheer serve the very specific story at hand.
Well, I watched the movie with a stopwatch to see. No?
Everybody does.
Nobody? I'm the only one who does that?
No, I do it too.
Gotcha.
What is it that you think draws people to your characters, guys? Like, do you think there's a central characteristic?
Well, I know that Rhodey's always trying to, and in this movie too, he's always struggling with what does he owe as a serviceman and what is his duty and chain of command and how must that be protected and honored. But also I'm in this team of people who, some of them are, have, as Paul was saying, no limit to their power and where are the checks and balances, and that's something that's obviously central to this film as well. But I think that's an understandable sort of fence that he's on, and how do you friendship versus chain of command and all those things that I think Rhodey's trying to balance as he goes forward with this group of guys.
Do any of you have anything to add to that? I think it's a really interesting question as we wind up. Like, why do people just love you guys?
I just think that for vision, that the synthetic people around the world can, yearning to break free from the shackles of expectation. They really get behind my character. I think I speak for them.
Your TVQ in the mannequin world is unbelievable.
I mean, honestly.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Right?
Question, since we were talking about Spider-Man a second ago, my question is, how exactly did Tony know about Spider-Man, and does how he know mean that he is aware of like the other New York heroes?
In our minds, we were picking up Peter Parker's story at a point after which he's gotten his powers, but before which he's fully sort of come out with them.
Pulled you right out.
So he had, in our storytelling, he has been doing some things in New York, and there's been these sort of Sasquatch-like videos of what he's been doing that's been showing up. You've heard word of mouth that something's happening. There's this very strange thing happening. So it's kind of something that's in the rumor mill, but nobody has been able to identify who exactly this is yet or how it's happening, etc. But of course, Tony Stark being who Tony Stark is, he's one step ahead of everybody else.